Another day, another dollar. It is Ignite Your Purpose, episode 83. And we are thankful for you today. We are always pumped that you're with us. John, thank you for joining. John knows very well because he's been putting in the work as well. But we are currently extracting audio and video and putting them on all these different, what do you call them, platforms, I guess, John? Websites. Apps on your phone, all that jazzy stuff. So for the last 3 days, I have been going from our newest show, so for example, it'd be today's show, going backwards, working back to our very first show and filling in, words and listening to the shows. And the one thing, other than me sitting in front of a screen and driving myself crazy, was I did notice how there was a massive progression over this last 3 to 4 month period, from show 1 to show 83. And what I want to talk to John about and the viewers is how we all improve if we actually focus on something, determined to put in that work, and then consistently do it day in and day out. The improvement is there, and it's not just for me and John, it's for any one of us. And John, I wanted to kind of get your vibe on that. I don't know if you listen to them all as well, but just your vibe on, maybe, I know you were unlike me when we started doing this the very first time on the Zoom platform. I mean, way back. Way back. That was like 6 months ago. You'd never really even been on and done that stuff. So you've come crazy amounts, but I see us even together growing massively every day. And it's something you, as a human, let's say you were going for a walk every day, we don't see how much improvement we've really done, which is why journaling, all these things aid us to actually see how far we've come up, right?
That's right. Good afternoon, good evening, hi. Good to see you all. 83, awesome. From number 1, and then there was 30 before that, so we have come a long way. And I started from 0. And for a man who fears public speaking more than death, or did, I think I've come quite a long way. But that's grown with my my ability to not give a fuck about what people say. If the show sucks, the show sucks. That's fine. If it's great, that's fine. Thank you. This current version we started at the very end of May, maybe the 24th or 25th. So that's only 2 months in this current version. Going back before that, it was mid-November we started. But then post the Christmas vacation period, Max was away, then I was away, then I got back, and we were all busy, so nothing happened, and we were just shit. Which is why we're on a show a day for the commitment, the continuity, and the accountability to each other. And it is interesting because I've been listening back to our first show today as well, and I thought it was okay, but maybe I was thinking back to the original. But also I was listening to each individual word, sorting out subtitles. But I can say I think we've got this. We've got a connection offline as well, but there's kind of this camaraderie. We're picking up on words and vibrations and little idiosyncrasies that we both use. So that's cool. Do you know what? I've got a title written down on this board for another show, and I'm half tempted to drop it in. I might drop it in at the end. But ultimately, the progression that Max and I have made, and I've been waffling, so I apologise, but we do much less waffling these days than we used to. But it comes down to diligence and practice. And likewise, you don't notice yourself either improving or getting worse, because it does go both ways. Because
it does. Good point.
Very good point. Slow and steady each and every day. You start a job with all the gusto and the commitment and the drive to be incredible. But when you've been there 6 months or 8 months and it's just the same old, and you start to slide away 5 minutes early, and you start taking an extra couple of minutes to eat coffee break, and that slide can go the other way. So it has been interesting to listen back to these shows. And I suppose we talk about practice and there's we talk about the 10,000 hours to get to a professional level of something, which I kind of agree with. I think there's a lot of value in that statement, but also
I agree.
I don't think it necessarily takes 10,000 hours to get to a competent level. I think you could probably do it in 100 hours to get to a competent level with diligent, structured practice and the feedback and people kind of checking that now try this, now try this with coaching. We all get to the top of our game and then we stop. But the top sports people are coached for their entire careers until they retire. And then they become the coaches. So diligent practice for a shorter number of hours under the tutelage of a coach. It's kind of the same thing. We're coaching each other, but we're also listening to Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, and a number of other people that we're not being accountable to, but we're listening to what they say, then making our own thoughts and our own opinions, and then driving our own direction from it. So, Max.
Yep, and for you and I, it's a lot of the times I'm not listening to their content to hear what they're saying. I'm watching what they're doing, right? Like using it as a coach. I don't want to compare myself to or any of that. It's just, okay, what do they do? What are some of the anomalies? What are some of the things I disagree with, agree with?
Yeah,
and even John and I, we were talking about how we use. I just did it. It's my stutter word, and all these nuances and such. But over the time, it's minimal. It's diminished. It's so many things, and for all of us, if you consistently do something and you're passionate about it and you want to do it, there's nothing to do but improve. So I just thought it was a cool little pat on the back, somewhat, but also just something I don't think any of us really pay attention to for ourselves, to give ourselves that pat on the back, like, hey, maybe you're half a pound lighter than you were 6 months ago, or you go down the list, right? But very rarely do we put ourselves up on a pedestal and clap for ourselves and go, hey, way to go. But it was something noticeable through me because I do music and I listen so much to vocals and all that. I was like, wow, like this is almost night and day, right? Yeah, it was technical. So
we tend not to celebrate the small things. So
for any of us. And it's granted as well, John, you were saying, if your plan is to, hey, let's go lose some weight, and you once a week or once a month go for a walk, you may or may not succeed. However, if you diligently put that in 6 o'clock every night, I'm going around the block 3 times, and you do that day after day after day after day, A, you're going to get better at it. B, you're going to feel the effects, and it's a landslide of positivity. But you also said it could go the other way, which is very true. But I'm glad it didn't. And John and I did go through that session where it did go the other way, where life got in the way. And then it was just like, that extra 3 hours of work that we have to do. Well, I could do this, this, and this. And we did go down a trajectory of, we didn't do shit for a while, right?
Yeah, I'll go there. I'll put my hand up. But and there's a perfect example now of sliding backwards. Great conversation. I've taken my eye off the ball, and I've been on screen for the past 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and now it's both of us. So details. Remember, Max, we had that whole show with you.
Back. I was like,
most of the show me. Fortunately, I've not been picking my nose and doing those things.
Cool. So for everybody out there, just do your best, forget the rest, and keep pushing forward. It was just a cool little anomaly I wanted to share.
It is, and it kind of ties into something I've learned this week at class. And we don't notice these things unless we listen and pay attention. And the teacher was saying, she says, be interested in, and I think she was referring to the person you're talking to, or the thing you're watching, or the thing you're listening to. So be interested in, not interesting. And that basically means you're giving your attention to the other person.
Nice.
And the more that this creates an engagement of depth and the more we listen, it talks about. We may not change our opinions off the basis of what somebody says, but being able to listen well means that you're prepared to change you, something like that. But it's about giving your attention to the other person. And sometimes on these shows, Max is talking and I'm thinking about my reply and I'm not giving him the attention he deserves. And I'm sure that works both ways and, 100 times each day with people with all these distractions. But I've rambled a bit at the end. But it's a bit of a funny show. We sometimes do these. We often make a show up on the spot. Sometimes we've got nothing to say and we'll just talk shit for 5 or 10 minutes. So maybe that was tonight's show, but thank you for listening. Have a nice evening.
As always, we thank you. We appreciate your time. You can be anywhere in the world, and you rocking with us, and we appreciate. We'll see you tomorrow.
Ciao.